Wow. Just you and me.
Just you and me.
Just
two of us.
We can make it if we try, just the two of us.
And we should probably be being paid for the vocals on this show too, hey?
I mean, it's if we're a cover, yeah, I suppose. If it was the originals, we should definitely be getting a cut. I think. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to That Helps No One FantasyCast on the Dean Blundell Network, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you're here live, if you can manage to like hack into our actual feed, then that's pretty awesome on you. If you want to chat along on YouTube, by all means, go for it. We sent the link out on Twitter there. We don't have a full bench this week. We're missing Ted and Chris. Chris has got, he's got Christmas stuff with his kids, so they're doing, I think, a Christmas play or something for his daughter, and Ted just asked to not be here. He's like, I'm actually not a big fan of either of you guys, so we got the special teams unit out, so might try for a trick play or something.
Wait, are you insinuating that we are the special team? I mean, you win championships with special teams, right?
Hey man, you never know. Like maybe we'll do a fake punt and we'll throw for an extra. We'll get a Justin Hecker kind of thing. You never know.
Yeah,
anything's possible with this show. I mean, we could do this with one person. It'd be me talking for a half hour, and it's bad enough I get to talk to begin with. So, how you doing? How was your week in fantasy? It's we're about to go to playoffs.
We are. This has been the closest league I've ever been a part of for playoffs. So we've got, I knew as of my loss last week that I would not get one of the first round buys in the championship pool. That's okay. So I literally just put together a cohesive lineup where everybody was going to be starting, and I didn't pull J.K. Dobbins off my IR report because I was like, you know what, this week literally doesn't matter. I've made the playoffs.
Yeah,
I don't care who I play in week 15. Week 15 sucks anyways this year specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just literally didn't put together. I would have won had I had started J.K. Dobbins like I did in my other league, but I was like, I just don't. I want an extra week to see which person I want to drop to get him off my IR week. So I lost. I'm going to be playing Kyle first round. Week 15 is such a crapshoot this year that I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm going to start all my best players and essentially just throw my hands up and let Jesus take the wheel, as Carrie Underwood loves to say.
I'm looking at our standings here. So this is, our main league, or my main league anyway, Whistleblowing Unicorns 2.0, because we moved over to Sleeper this year. So Ted obviously was bragging all season. He still has 5 waiver dollars left, so he managed to spend the kitty for the most part. 12-2, he gets first dibs. Our friend or foe, depending on how you look at it, Devin, 11-3, and then from 3rd to 6th place is all the guys that make the playoffs. 9-5 records, and then the rest of us,
all 4 teams,
we're a classy 5-9 for the next 3, and then we got 2 4-10s, and then 2-12. Like, it's everyone just was like they had a bathroom buddy. Like, all right, if we're going to go, you got to come with me. Okay, you got to come with me too. And everybody was just kind of chilling together. So it was like a logjam. So I told you guys probably, I don't know, 5 weeks ago, I was joking that I was still in the playoff run. It's because I had a legitimate chance of fluking out and making the playoffs because we were all clumped together. I only needed to win, which I didn't. I only needed to win 2 games, and I actually had an opportunity to flip the script. It was Kyle and I for the longest time. And it looked like we were going to be the only 2 that were going to be fighting for a playoff spot, and then it opened right up. So I guess perfect example of why, like, if you think you have a shot, even if you're not going to be tearing apart a roster and trying to go for a championship, I mean, our league was a great example of why you can make it if you're setting lineups. And some guys forget. I hate that. Like, it's not that I hate people that forget, but like, if you've got an opportunity and you just forget to start a guy, like, look up to like 958 every week, and then you can't predict what's going to happen after that. But what do you have to lose? Like, go and find some random no-namer.
Yeah, I mean, you even have to make those kind of like educated decisions by looking at when your guys' game is on Sunday, or if it's a Monday game, and you have to kind of plan for those worst case, right? If you are starting a guy on the Sunday night football game, and you have nobody playing Monday night, or no one else but this guy, and he's been kind of questionable, or you're hearing rumblings, like don't roll the dice on it, because if that's what you need to win, you can't switch him out at that point. So
Yeah, you're
I'm
doomed at that point.
looking right up until that 9:58 marker. Um, I've kind of got a plan going in, and then if no like surprises happen, I stick with the plan that I was going with. But I almost never roll the dice if it's like, questionable or doubtful. You kind of look at a pattern of, did this guy practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Like, did he even get limited snaps? And a good example of that was, last week Jerry Judy had been out for, I want to say it was two. He played a game. I think it was against Tennessee, and then he was out for a couple games. And it was like, okay, he's got to play, or sorry, he's got to practice just a little bit. Like, he's got to get one limited session in before I'm even thinking about putting him in. And I was only really paying attention to this because I have him, and he was playing the Ravens last week. And, he got a couple limited practices in, and I was like, well, he's young, he's talented. Yeah, I paid a good premium to put him on my team, and so now you start him. But yeah, it's really important that you just keep looking at the very end, especially when we're talking about playoffs, or if we are talking about, if you're one of the leagues like ours where the consolation bracket, you kind of have to win your way to a top pick for the next year. Like, you really just have to be paying attention. It's only 3 weeks of your life. If you fluked out and got into the playoffs and you haven't really been doing a lot, at least spend 3 weeks, because as Chris's, what was it, like a 7-9 team showed, you can upset at any time. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, I was playing and Lamar Jackson goes out, and I'm like, well, there goes my week. Like, I was competitive. I would have won with a decent starting quarterback. You just never know what's going to happen. I'm sure this last week, and I know you're going to talk about this, I'm sure people were rolling Kyler Murray out there. He goes out injured a little bit, and they're like, well, there goes my entire week 14. So plan for the worst on these things. But at the end of the day, like, throw your hands up, hope you did what you did.
And I mean, a perfect example of throw your hands up. Like, did anyone expect? I need to. Apparently, there are receipts on this guy, but Evan Ingram. Did anyone expect him to be the number one? Was he number one tight end this week? I think
He was.
And I told you to start him, and then I dropped him, and he's become one of the most relevant tight ends after that point. You have no idea, like the NFL, especially this season, and with injuries and everything else, there is just absolutely no predictability to this. So if you like, sometimes a hunch is better than something. Sometimes a hunch is better than statistics. And like, you know what? There's no reason that this should make sense. So I'm going to start this guy. And you might be that one out of 30 guys that starts him. And usually it's a boom at that point. Like, a bust is a bust. Everybody's aware, though, you might get 2 or 3 points. There's just certain guys that blow up and all of a sudden they get 2 touchdowns and they get 50 yards. And now you're looking at a 20 burger. And, that might be the difference between you winning realistically or even having a shot, by the Monday night or something like that. So just wacky. So hold on to those guys. Make sure you're paying attention. Waiver wires. I know we've debated about this in the group chat, if they're even relevant. I think they still kind of are. I mean, we could debate this, but there's not a lot available. I'm just looking like, geez, and ours, Russell Wilson's available. Not like anybody. Like, I want to know.
Who would have predicted that?
I want to know the world we live in where Russell Wilson is actually on the waiver wire. Like,
and
how
like
many?
Nobody wants him. Like, the fact that a lot of people actually are just flat out dropping him, dynasties, keepers, whatever it is, like, it shows you how bad he's really been. Like, really atrociously bad. Like, you just don't drop, players that even have a chance of making your roster in the next year. And the fact that it was like, bye.
Like, Russell Wilson. That's insane. Like, especially I made this trade. Oh, when was it? When RG3, I think Ted and I had this conversation. We were talking about just trades you remember and everything. So when Peyton Manning went to the Broncos, and I had Peyton, and I was trading. I think our friend was it James Miller. I think, and he had RG3, and I was going off of I think his rookie year, and I'm thinking, there's no way Peyton does what he does from Indy. It just like RG3 at the time seemed like the guy that you wanted. He was going to be the next mobile quarterback, right? And I made that move. I think I got a little bit extra out of that deal, a little bit of a sweetener. Peyton Manning goes and wins MVP. That he was like the one piece that probably would have put me over the top that year. I made the playoffs, and had I had him, I probably would have been in the final. I had a good shot at winning because I can't even remember who I had for running backs. I had a pretty good team back then, and I just remember laughing like, "There's no way that should have happened either way." So I don't know.
It's just like, this is what we call, I think it was like, even, I mean, every year I do this, but there was a point like, 3 or 4 years ago where I'm like, you know what? I'm quitting all fantasy football. This is just total crap. I hate the like random, like it's just so incredibly random, but I've learned to kind of like love the chaos now where it's like, look, you can do everything right. You can absolutely do everything right, and everything can go wrong for you. Or even like you said, just that one thing that goes wrong for you. I mean, one of your keepers going into this year was Cam Akers, 23-year-old running back coming back from injury. Who cares? Like, guys come back from injuries all the time. I kept J.K. Dobbins coming back from injury. Like, it's just what you do with like guys that break out like that. So RG3, like you're talking about back in the day, offensive rookie of the year. He's going to be the next dual threat quarterback. We knew he could run, but the numbers he was putting up with his arm and his accuracy and his passer rating was showing that he was going to be like that next. He was basically what was going to be what Lamar did in his MVP season. That's what we were projecting.
Yeah, exactly.
And you did everything right in those situations. Some guys, for whatever freaking reason, just have the crappiest luck ever. Like, I don't even like, you must really piss the fantasy football gods off, because certain people just have horseshoes up their asses, and some guys just, no matter what they do, it could be injury, it could be trading into a different system, getting a guy when you think he's going to explode based on performance, and he's a complete bust after that. Like, I feel like this year was my year where I kind of did everything right, and it was the injury one that just kept getting me over and over and over and over. But this is really one of those it's like kind of like a little asterisk on the side of my fantasy football resume. It doesn't happen to me that often, but like, I look at you, Ryan, and we always poke fun at your team and like, oh, you're crap, like warm the basement up for us kind of idea. But you've had those types of luck. You drafted Kareem Hunt first overall in his rookie year, and everyone was like, what are you doing?
No one knew.
And then he blows up, and we're like, man, he knew. And then Kareem Hunt just like falls off the face of the earth and has been a backup ever since. Like, I swear the fantasy football gods have like etched you in somehow. I don't know why they've done it, but man, you've taken a beating over the years.
I've been there. Bring this up because I like to brag about my lack of success. I've been to the final once, and I got absolutely pasted. Every other time, like, starting in most of the leagues, I've been in the playoffs pretty much every year. I've won the division or finished second pretty much every year. This is the last 2 years have probably been the worst I've ever been. And yet it, for whatever reason, like you get, especially because if you win your division, usually you get a bye in round one. And I've gone where I've had to play someone in the first round and I lost. I've gone where I've had the bye in the first round and I've lost the second week. Like, you can't figure this out. And I've had some amazing teams. Like, I wouldn't say like absolute top tier, but pretty well-rounded lunch bucket crews where I've got a few studs I can rely on, and my bench was pretty solid. I could intermix guys, right? And I do wonder, I've had some absolutely insane teams that have done nothing. Like, we're getting into snow, like the real snow season now. And like Buffalo this week, right? I mean, this is how people lose fantasy matchups. You could have the best possible team, and you could have the best receivers or the top running backs, and it ends up being a game of inches. And by that I mean like they're moving an inch at a time because they can't see anything. And you see one ridiculous catch out of nowhere, and like one guy is going to stand out of like 10 guys on both teams. Nothing makes sense around this time. So I mean, for the guys that make the playoffs and actually get all the way, like, good on you. There are just weeks where I just laugh, and it's fun to be a commissioner at those because I can just sit back, and especially if, like, for me, I'm fighting for the first pick, so I think I have a decent shot at making a run on the consolation side because everybody started to suck. Oh, and one thing, if you are on the consolation side, keep starting your rosters, keep filling out
Yeah.
roster because, I mean, if you do value being in your league, which I think everybody does, why would you not want the first overall pick? Or if that's how you play for it, maybe it is worst record. If it is just worst record, then I get it and doesn't really mean much. But we make sure that nobody's tanking. It sucks too because you could have the worst season and you're like, oh, I should get the first pick. No, I believe you need to earn it. So if you finish dead last, yeah, there's a good chance you're probably not going to get the first pick. But I mean, you should be able to earn it for those 3 weeks. Like, try to make it interesting, even if you're winning with 68s or worse, heaven forbid. Um, you want to make it interesting. So when you get it, like, as a Bijan Robinson is basically the consensus first overall fantasy pick next year. Well, guess what? You kind of want that guy. You're going to want him on your team. So put in the effort. So when it does come to next season and you have that first overall pick, maybe you don't pick him, but you can get an absolute king's ransom for him. You might get 3 first-round picks out of it and, benefit your team. Who knows? So anyway, that's
So
my
this kind of brings up a really interesting question at this point. Like, I've been kind of slamming my fists on the table for, like, if you have the stud guys, you start them no matter what. So a really good example of this, I know he was injured last week. I haven't really looked into whether he's going to play this week. Corey Davis of the Jets has a matchup of the Detroit Lions this week, who we know have been awful against wide receivers. Now, contrast that with a guy who just put up 200 and whatever it was. I think it was 223 or something like that. Justin Jefferson has Indianapolis, who's been the hardest against wide receivers this whole year. Like, is this one of those times where you think about it? Do you not think about it? I mean, my answer already. I hope people are starting. Justin Jefferson is the extreme of that, only because I have him on, my roster. You could even use, like, I have a not good week 15 matchup, FYI. I have him on Ross St. Brown. He's going to be going up against Sauce Gardner and the Jets. On the flip side, I'm still going to start those guys, but here's why I've kind of let go of some of the frustration of fantasy football. It's because if Corey Davis is going to outpoint Justin Jefferson this week, F it. There's nothing more I can do. If I assemble Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm just trying to think, Mike Evans I've got on that team, Jerry Jeudy, I've got some other guys as, like,
you're going to lose because you're going to lose at that point.
You're just going to lose because you're going to lose. Like, I'm not. Some people actually start loading up on week 15, 16, 17 matchups. Like Nico Collins, I picked him up a while ago. I think he's young, he's talented. He has got I said this last week. He has got a gravy train matchup. Now, I am not starting him over any of those guys. I'm starting a guy like that in case of a Mike Evans injury, in case of a Jeudy injury, or, any of those things. But if you're going to lose to that, I put some good wide receivers together. I put some great running backs together. I got to let them win or lose. It's just playoffs are almost easier for me. I don't tinker at all.
You can load up on those guys, and you can also run into injuries. I mean, we just talked about it. Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson. I've been on the Mike White hype train. I mean, he's got essentially 2 broken ribs after just, putting on an absolute fireworks show for the last month. You can't predict any of these things. It's just when you think you've got it figured out, you're going to go for a loop. So don't go too crazy on, what you think, stick to your guns. Stick to what you have known all season. Don't try to rethink the game because it will end up eating you. Just do what you need to do. Now, two things. First of all, this week we have Saturday games. I am very bummed about that because I'm going to miss all of them.
It's very important that you know about this, though, people. Ryan is doing you a public service announcement, not to be confused with my rambles.
Oh, those are
you need to be listening to this, people. If you forget their Saturday games and you run into a guy who's injured on the Saturday game, or you forget to set your lineup because you're like, I'll set it tomorrow morning. We always do it at 10:58. You got to know their Saturday games, peeps. I would have probably overlooked that had the Ravens not been playing the Browns.
Yeah. Saturday games, we're now in that season where we get to Christmas season, where we get a bonus day of football, which is great. Fun. You get your Thursday night, you get your Saturday, you get your Sunday, and you get your Monday. And that lasts for the next couple weeks until we don't get a Monday nighter, and that kind of sucks. Don't forget about the Saturday games, okay? The only reason I remembered is because our work picked them. Other than that, I likely would have forgot. And I'm also going to be on a plane all day going to Disneyland, so I'm going to miss all those games anyway. So guess what? I'm going to start all my guys. I'm going to go Friday night because I'm in the consolation set. I'm going to make sure that everything is figured out because I have to hop on a plane at 6 a.m. So I'm likely not going to be enjoying that. That being said, I can go to Calgary, sit in the airport, get all that done. I can neglect my family for 10 minutes. It's fine. But don't forget about the Saturday games. Now, this is me as the commissioner talking. I am the commissioner of our Whistleblowing Unicorns League. I have been a commissioner for quite some time, and I'm a commissioner of our work league as well. Here's the thing. We are now, and I'm actually surprised I've had 0 emails, phone calls, texts, DMs, whatever you want to say. We are in a position today where today is the first day of the postseason. There are a lot of people that are going to be badgering you about the positioning, about how they got their seed wrong, about how they're supposed to be playing so-and-so, about how this should have happened and I should be getting second seed, so there's prize money there. Or, hey, what's the bracket order? Or, hey, what's this? Just leave them alone. Leave your commissioner alone. It's the worst job. No one wants to do it. Most of us do it because we have to. Otherwise, there isn't a league. Just leave them alone. They've had a long season. They're in charge of a bunch of things like vetoing trades, or which, again, that you shouldn't do that unless it's a stupid one. Even then, one time.
One time you'll never live it down.
Yeah, exactly. Much like a bunch of other things. Just leave your commissioners alone. This is not a fun time. Clearly, we're on it because it is our job, a not paying job. We want to make sure that everything goes smoothly, just like everybody else does. Otherwise, the league looks stupid. Nobody wants to see, oh, well, how come this guy's got to buy? Clearly, we're paying attention, and if there is something, we're going to fix it because everything needs to run smoothly by the time that week starts. So just lay off. We got it. Okay?
We got it. Take a breath.
Capiche?
And breathe. Just breathe.
I think we missed that. I think you missed your moment there. Let's get into the fun part. Let's get to THNO Stars with Tom Brady. He looks pretty smug again. Good for him.
Yeah, I heard rumors that he was there was a new side piece there, and it's hitting like Leo kind of levels.
He's getting there.
Good for him.
Getting there. I mean, he's chilling around at Tampa. What a guy. I mean, like, you look at his track record. I joke about this with my wife a lot. Like, he's got such a brutal life. Absolutely beyond successful. And many will say the greatest of all time at his position.
No, just greatest of all time.
Just greatest of all time. He's got the money to back it up. The looks, I mean, probably came with the money because he wasn't that great looking before. All the endorsement deals. He's doing this, that, and the other. He's had a pretty good dating record, male or female. When you think about it, like Tom Brady goes in and he's at the cream of the crop. That's tough to do. On top of all these things, got 2 great kids. Likely his son will end up being an NFL quarterback, and we're gonna hate him at some point. The dude's got pretty much everything. He has 7 Super Bowl rings. It's tough. It's tough to hate a guy like that.
He still annoys me.
and yet he's dating and Giselle's onto her, so they're both clearly okay.
They'll be fine.
It's just it's silly. It really is silly. And you and I we're on a podcast making sure we have good Wi-Fi.
Yeah, mine usually never cuts out. That's a you problem.
One time. That was one time. So let's get into sneaky starts, or not sneaky starts. Jeez. Let's dial it back. Thanos. Who is your Thanos this week?
Well, I kind of stumbled upon this one. I wasn't as good of a person as I should have been, and I was not really prepared. And then this beautiful 27-year-old face just popped up on my screen. The name Trenton Irwin was just there, and a touchdown beside his name. And I go, what? Wait, like, he plays for the Cincinnati Bengals, and I didn't even really know he existed at all. And then I looked at the touchdown that he got, and it is all sorts of fun. This is an incredible That Helps No One play.
This is Mixon. No, the fake to Mixon. The throw, and here is all alone for the touchdown, Trenton Irwin.
Tyler Boyd, no. T. Higgins, no. Jamar Chase was back, no. He gets a fourth elite weapon in Trenton Irwin. How do you get roasted by the flea flicker? Oh man, it is fun to watch that, and I was really hoping Ted was going to be here because I can only imagine he screaming at his TV, throwing his ramen around the room, yelling and complaining.
I could go for some ramen.
Oh man, right?
Great, right now. I mean, we could finish early and we could go get some ramen. meet you halfway over the bridge.
Yeah, Trenton Irwin. It helps literally no one.
So I just want to get back into this, and I'll stop the clip as soon as you see it. Right after the touchdown, watch that Cleveland guy in the stands. Check this out.
This is Mixon. No, the fake to Mixon. The throw, and here is all alone for the touchdown, Trenton Irwin.
That dude's like, no, man. It was so good. He's just nah, man. That's not good, man.
No.
You could just feel the hurt in his heart. Yeah. Oh man, it's not good.
That's a tough one to lose too. And you see the running back pitch it back, and you're like, look all the way down the other side, and you're like, oh, he's wide open. This is a cakewalk.
You just trotted in there. Good for him. Absolutely. I mean, you're right. It did help no one. I'll do mine, and then you can do Ted. So it's getting tougher and tougher to find these guys, especially deep in the season. But there always seems to be a winner out there. This guy looks like kid in play, and sometimes you just got it. He has had 0-0-0, a 4, 0, didn't play, didn't start, a 4. 0.93, and then the last 2 weeks he's like, I'm gonna go and score a few touchdowns. His name is Isaiah Hodgins. You shouldn't know about him for the sole fact that 4% of you have rostered him. 2% of that 4% started him. So it really makes you think. You could probably count on one hand, starts and rosterings of Isaiah Hodgins. So regardless, he scored a touchdown. It's pretty nice. Let's check it out.
The pass on second down. Jones into the end zone. It's a touchdown for Isaiah Hodgins. Never had one in the NFL before last week. Oh, he's got one back-to-back.
Did you see the ghost, too, as he's going for the high fives? He's like, yo, pick me. No, sorry, bro.
Just kidding. Nope. Definitely
so not absolutely ghosted him on that. Hey, when you're scoring touchdowns in the NFL, that may help nobody fantasy-wise, but it sure helps his bottom line. So,
did you see him like go over to the stands and he's just like throwing his hands up as if like, you don't even know my name. I'm going to end up on Thanos Star for sure, boys.
Yeah. Western Canada, watch out. Poor guy. Chris did not have one this week. We knew he was not going to be here. I mean, you guys don't even really have to guess who Ted's was. You don't. We all knew it on Thursday. We all knew what happened. Everyone and their dog picked Vegas to win that game. But oh no, the man hopped on a flight before the waiver wire even hit. The actual waiver wire, not your fantasy waiver wire. And he said, I'm going to LA. Me and McVay got something going. I know we've got a history. It's going to happen. What happens? Baker Mayfield goes to LA. He's not going to start. He doesn't how are you going to know the playbook in 2 days? You might get the odd little pass. I mean, he is an NFL quarterback. But come on. You wouldn't actually expect him to do something. Actually, maybe make a play, let alone a 98-yard drive to shock the world. I gave you the lead up, Steve. Obviously, who is Ted's THNO this week?
It's kind of funny that I get to introduce this because I think I was the only one in our group that did not watch this game. Tired Steve went to bed before this happened. Baker Mayfield. It is so much fun that he is out of the division and doing some fun things because, he's got that little cocky arrogance to him. In Carolina, it didn't really work out as his old Baker was showing. I'm gonna root for Baker now that he is not a Cleveland Brown. I don't think he's actually this good, but man, was it fun watching the replays. Anyways, I didn't watch it live, but it was fun watching the replays. And what was even more fun was everybody on Twitter being like, if Baker Mayfield goes 98 yards in 2 minutes, blank, insert your what kind of wild thing are you going to do here? And everyone was just like, well, it's on the internet web forever.
Yeah, some guy said he was going to get a vasectomy. He's like, it's booked. What? Okay. That's a choice. Hey, maybe pick a better time to do that. I don't care if you're going to get it done anyway. Don't put your hopes and dreams on Baker Mayfield for that to happen.
No.
Just figure something a little crazier. Just plan it a month or two from now.
It's the internet. If I say something wild and outlandish and someone's like, look, I got the receipt, bud, go get your vasectomy. Okay, Phil from Ohio. I don't care what you think. Do you want proof that I did it too?
Phil 0241.
Yeah, I don't understand these things. Oh, I'm gonna eat my shoe. It's it's a figure of speech. We're not actually going to eat our shoe. It's like when you walk in the door and you're like, oh, I'm so hungry, I'm gonna eat a horse. We learned that in grade 7. I do teach that kind of stuff. You don't actually have to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you got a horse and you're gonna eat a horse, then I mean, yeah, you want to own up to it for sure. Don't be that guy. I guess I'm doing this.
Bill 410 from Ohio is going to call you out.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, man, I got the receipts. So does the rest of the world. Clearly, I'm not going to do it. So speaking of, let's watch the man Baker Mayfield.
2nd and 10. Mayfield to the end zone to Jefferson. Is that possible? Touchdown.
Is that possible? It is now.
I was, banging on the drum for Van Jefferson all last year. You kind of stole it from me this year and decided I didn't believe in him. And I was like, go for it. Take him. I don't think they're there yet, but it had to be to Van Jefferson, right?
When I looked, I'm thinking, great. I'm what do I cheer for? The fact that my fantasy team's doing okay, or that I lost that pick? And I'm thinking, no, that's what a dime. Just perfect arc. Just lands right in his hands. And I think the beauty of the NFL, and we've seen some, this game wasn't exactly a masterpiece by any means, but we've seen some pretty amazing finishes in this league in the last few years. I mean, the Buffalo, KC, we've seen, I guess the Rams, and was it the Rams and KC did one of those as well, or was it the Rams and Buffalo?
There was Rams and Bucks in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, we've seen some crazy shootouts. We've seen some absolute dimes to finish. It seems like we've been spoiled the last few years. And again, something like that really on a mean nothing game. And it meant something for him. And obviously the teams in general. There's stuff going on, but I mean, what an amazing throw.
Also, as just like football watchers, we earned that one. Like
I think
you said, it wasn't a good game, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, Thursday night football this year has been like atrocious. Indianapolis has basically been taking every other Thursday night football game. They've been crap games. This was a crap game.
Yeah.
We've earned this. Like, as a football watching peoples, we deserve something wild to happen on Thursday night football. So thank you, football gods. It happened. It was fun to watch.
As a society, we've earned it. We got to our 150 gold stars on our NFL gold card, so we redeemed it for one great finish.
Yeah.
Now we got to start accumulating them again. It's going to be an expensive ride to week 18. So
let's get Bronco Thursday games. Great.
Oh man, you know what? Thankfully, those injuries maybe kicked them out. And I guess our boy Chris isn't on here to parade, but I believe, is it now official that the Seahawks can get no lower than the 3rd pick via Denver? Is that true?
Is that right? I haven't even checked.
I think so. So
there's games left.
There's a chance. Yeah, there's a chance that, I mean, Denver isn't winning anymore, but there is a chance that Seattle could somehow get the 2 pick. But I believe it's all but written that Seattle will get the 3rd overall pick via Denver, which is, again, absolutely insane.
Some weird stuff happening, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. We saw how the Broncos played on Sunday. Yeah. It was bad. It wasn't good. Russ got hurt, and that one. So we're human beings, and we've had this conversation a few weeks ago. I can't remember what play it was. You didn't need to show Russell Wilson's face after he got driven into the ground to get that one camera angle, like when they had Aaron Rodgers. Like,
yeah.
When you show Russell Wilson's face, he looked absolutely mushed, and nobody wants to see that. I'm sure his family didn't want to see that. It looked bad enough seeing his head get driven into the ground. That's fine. You can show the play of him getting drilled. That's okay. That's a football thing. But when you close up on his face and it looks like the guy can't even figure out if he's a human being or not, probably not the greatest camera angle to go with. And I'm not here to, be woke or anything, but I just thought, I'm like, you didn't need that shot.
It doesn't really do anything, right? Like, we're all smart enough and educated in sports to know that, like, when your head hits the ground that hard, whether you have a concussion or not, you are at risk of doing that. Like, it just, there's a certain amount of force that puts you in the concussion risk window. So, like, yeah, we don't need to see that. Kind of like when our boy Chris just tweeted this in the Patriots game when Devontae Parker kind of got hit in the head and he went to go stand up. And again, they do a close up of him and he's like wobbling and stuff like that. And you're like, why, right?
Yeah, or Tua.
Or the Tua one. I don't know if you saw the Patriots one.
No, I didn't.
Devontae Parker gets up and basically like flops into Cole Strange, and like he's an O lineman, so he's like holding him up. And they get him over to like the left side as like the far out receiver. And the slot receiver is Nelson Aguilar, and he is jumping up and down. He is freaking out at the sideline until they finally call the game.
Oh, I'm watching it right now.
Parker like literally cannot stand on his legs. And people are like, how in that? Like, we literally have hired people to stop this kind of crap, because in that moment, a high level athlete knows, I want to play. I play. That's like, you're so competitive that you need to be saved against yourself. Chris and I talked about this, the week Tua had his second one.
Yeah.
Good for Nelson Aguilar. Kids, if you are listening to this, you need to follow in the suit of being a good teammate, because in that moment, Devontae Parker could not protect himself. And there was at least one teammate who recognized, knew it, and was not willing to just be like, oh, whatever, like we'll stop him after this play. It was like, stop the play right now. We got to get this guy off of the field. So
yeah, you know what? And that's be a human being.
Yeah,
agreed. I know that's tough to say. Be a human being. Why is it so hard? Let's get into sneaky starts with Taylor Lewan. He's having a fun time. Who is screw it? I'm gonna go first.
You do it.
I'm going to go back to last week. I told you to start Jerick McKinnon.
That was a big time W.
I just every time. Oh, that Andy Reid. Thank you for making a winner out of me. I mean, I didn't have him, but that was a smart decision. Actually, Ted did pretty well, I think, with Nkonkwo as well. I think he had a good week, if I'm not mistaken. Even in the loss, he still had a pretty good game. He went on Collins, obviously, but yeah, I was pretty impressed on how our starts went last week. It was pretty good. I'm hoping he starts, and I'm banking that he does. It may not go to happen. 14% rostered, 7% started. Brock Purdy looked like an absolute beast out there. Dude's got 2 passing, one rushing TD, and he was a boss. Seattle hasn't seen a guy like this since Russ was actually cooking. If he is, you're going to have to be patient. And by patient, I mean you've got 2 days. However, if it is at all possible, Brock Purdy would be an absolutely great start this week if you need a quarterback. The dude, that guy's got a ton of swagger. Like, I like it, and I do not like the 49ers. Again, I don't have a whole lot of skin in the game aside from proximity for the Seahawks, but I do not like the 49ers, and man, that guy looks like a pimp out there. Just comes in, guns, just doing the finger guns and stuff. I got a soft spot in my heart for guys like that because why not have a little bit of swagger, enjoy that you're there, and who cares about the whole Mr. Irrelevant thing? That's stupid. He's an NFL quarterback. Go for it, man. If you can dish it out, go for it. So start him. If you can, start him.
You really have a soft spot for those kind of like underdog quarterbacks who just like are trying to big ball everyone, right? Like,
but they got to be caught. Like, you have to be able to back it up. Mike White came in, and I'm still a big fan of him. If I saw one of those at my doorstep in the next little bit, I'd be a happy camper. You have to like those guys,
yeah,
because clearly they're not going to be the best, but they're trying to make themselves a name, and maybe they become one of the best. You have no idea. So if they're going to be swagged out to begin and they're tossing dimes like that, hey, man, I got all the time in the world for you. I do.
And to be honest, like it's not the worst. I mean, we debated whether like free agent ads or whatever are even worth it. But like, if you look at San Francisco's playoff matchup, they have Seattle, Washington, Vegas. Those are 3 teams that basically just hand out points, especially to the quarterback position. So if he was able to do that against Tampa, I know Seattle's not the most friendly place to play against, and he's going to have to deal with like the noise and probably go to a silent count. He's got enough of that swagger skill, the running incorporated with it, that maybe that's worth it if you have like, I just traded in my other league 3 or 4 weeks ago. I traded away Lamar because I was not making the playoffs. Well, now my buddy John in the other league is scrambling with no quarterback. And he's in the playoffs clearly. It could be worth it over like, I just started Mac Wilson last week, or Mac Jones.
Yeah.
I think you take a flyer on a guy like Brock Purdy over like the ceiling of like 15 points for Mac Jones on any given week, even if he has a good fantasy matchup. So
he's the kind of guy that would stick it to you. Like, you know what I mean? Especially in Seattle. Like, it's the kind of game where, like, as I said, like, I go on hunches a lot and it doesn't always pay off. But I mean, he's proven he can play. And if he is healthy, and I mean, he's not going to be healthy, he's going to be banged up. But you got a few decent weapons around you. I know Deebo Samuel this week, but Deebo Samuel, sorry, not Deebo. So you're going to be without one target, but they're probably going to do a little bit more Brandon Ayuk. You're going to see a little bit more CMC. You could have worse guys around you. So if it's possible, pretty interesting.
Christian McCaffrey will make any quarterback instantly better because the defense has to like game plan around a guy like that. So I absolutely love the pick.
There you go. Who you got?
This one seems like a no-brainer to me. Like I said at the start of the show, I didn't actually start him just because it was a nothing matchup for me. I didn't really give a crap. But it looks like the 1-2 punch of the Ravens, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, are not being started in leagues. I don't understand it. J.K. Dobbins is only owned in 74% of leagues, so 26% of the leagues out there could just go pick him up. He was only started in 20% of the leagues. And if you know anything about how he came back initially from his injury, is they didn't put him on the field thinking, oh, we'll give him, 5 carries, we'll give him like 10% of the snap share or anything like that. They gave him the rock. That's what they do in Baltimore. They run the damn ball. So like, I'm saying if you have both of them, which is a possibility if you are a handcuffed person like me, start them both. Yeah, Dobbins and Edwards started in just 20 and 18% of leagues. I thought that was ridiculously low. I can't believe they weren't started. They're seeing 43 and 34% of the snap share on a run first offense. They looked like that old 1-2 punch of like more agility mixed with the hammer from behind. We know the healthier these guys get, the more touches they get, the less touches Kenyon Drake will have. So if they're already getting, I can't remember off the top of my head. I should have probably looked at this. I think Dobbins got something like 13, 14 carries, somewhere in that range. Gus got about the same amount. So if you're adding even more carries onto that, I like the ability to start both of them. One of them is going to be the RB1, but one of them is going to be like another RB1, essentially. Even if you're getting 6 to 10 points out of the second one, I think it's a big win. They're going against Cleveland, who hasn't been great against the run. Tedwood has been basically talking about that all season. Last week, they played against the Steelers, who are always tough against the run, and the Ravens O-line just bullied the hell out of them. Like when they needed a first down, everybody in the building knew that they were going to run the ball, and they still ran the ball, and they still got the first down. It was the old 2019 Ravens where we knew it was going to happen, and they still did it. It was so much fun to watch. I think they are going to have a massive game. I could see, each of them having a touchdown and a minimum of, 60 to 75 yards for each of them easily. So
wow,
both of them, start them both. I think it's going to be a big week for them. I'm hoping for it.
Receipts. Holy, speaking of receipts, eh?
Yeah, get that clip down, boys.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll find out. Wow, they both got injured in the first quarter. Not funny.
Yeah,
not funny.
I will be done with football if that happens. I'm done with football for the year.
We're gonna get into sleepy starts. I might need to just update it to that one. I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure what I want to do with sleepy starts.
Season 3, we're gonna have to find another one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find another one. And like Ted's not here for like, oh hey.
Oh, he's just so handsome.
He is a pretty good looking guy.
Person over in the corner that's not in the shot.
He's doing the Backstreet Boys thing. In the Backstreet Boys little skit. Let's get into sleepy ads. This guy's been hanging around in my brain space for probably, I don't know, 2 months. He's always there. I don't even remember I'm sure I've picked him up once or twice. I don't even remember. 11% rostered, 4% started. This is an ad that, again, I feel like it is a hunch type of week. Ben Skoranek, and I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. For the Rams. I don't know what it is about this guy. It's just like when you're always digging, you're digging around the waiver wire free agency. And you're like, I need someone. And you're kind of thinking like, maybe I take a risk on this. He's the 70th wide receiver or 70th ranked wide receiver in PPR. And in case you guys are wondering what that means, PPR reception. And as well, if we're talking about standard leagues, then our boy is he's 263rd overall in standard leagues, or 79th ranked. Sorry, in the standard league. I apologize. Excuse me. He hasn't exactly been a stud this year. Now, this is an ad and maybe turns into a start if you're like super desperate. He did well against Carolina. I don't even know how he got 11 points, but I'm looking at this. He had, what did we have? Like 40 receiving yards. What am I missing? Was there like did he get a touchdown somewhere? I can't even see.
He had like a jet sweep. I'm pretty sure that was the week he had like a little jet sweep rush.
Oh, they're not even showing it that he scored the touchdown, but he's got 11 points. So anyway, he did something in week 6 against Carolina. You can trust me on that one. He's littered himself with 0.5s and 0.4s and 1s and 3s. He had a nice little week last week. 8 targets, 7 catches, 89 yards. Again, his targets have been... He's got a handful. I think like a third of his games he's been over 5 targets. And I mean, snap share has been pretty decent. He's on the field a lot, like at least 85% of the time he's on a snap. So you could do worse, maybe not, but like I said, he's kind of like the stupid eye worm that just keeps weaseling his way through the waiver wire for me. And I don't know, maybe I'll just pick him up at the same time. I don't really have room for him, so who knows? Like I said, you might need I would hate for him to go off for like 2 weeks and Baker just like that's his dude. Like he just becomes his guy for some reason. Exactly. And all of a sudden you're starting freaking Ben Skowronek in the championship game. You can come thank me. I think I'll thank you. I'll send you some THNO stickers and a thank you card if you do.
I was just gonna say if anyone out there is listening to this and you start that player in your championship week, we have to send you some swag. Whether you win it or not, the fact that you're gonna start him shows you're listening, and we'll send you some swag.
I don't know. He's just sitting there, just minding his own business. That's my ad for the week. I'm gonna probably I don't even know what I'm saying, but that's who I got. Hopefully you can redeem me here. Who do you have for a start or for an ad? I apologize.
You know what? We've been talking about different types of ads, and I think at this point in the season, I'm on the train that ads are completely useless. Like they are just there in case of injuries, but hopefully you've been kind of, hedging your bets a little bit, protecting your investments, getting a backup quarterback, getting some, they're not going to be the elite receivers, but I had mentioned on my team, Nico Collins, like there could be a worse guy in case of like massive emergency. You're probably not starting him, but I love the ad. Like this is exactly what I've been looking for in ads. There's a guy that's seeing the field all the time. Now that he has like a quarterback that is looking his way, and he's young, he's only 25 years old. He's a big body wide receiver. They're going to use him on the running plays. They're going to use him like they're clearly using him all the time. So like he's got a chance. It's one of those wild card ads that I don't hate it. Actually, it's actually not bad. I'm going to go.
I don't know. Maybe I'm regretting it already. I don't know.
I really struggled to find an ad, so I'm going to give you another running back 1-2 punch here. We just heard that Dameon Pierce of the Houston Texans is going to miss upwards of 3 weeks. Well, now it's your job to figure out who's going to get the rock in his departure. Is it going to be 32-year-old Rex Burkhead? He's only rostered in 6% of the leagues.
I like him. That's
because you shouldn't have had him. You probably shouldn't have. Or are you going to have 28-year-old, and I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. I think it's Dare Ogunbowale.
Sure.
Yes. 0% rostered, 0% started. He's more of that big back guy. The only reason I brought his name up is because last week, Rex Burkhead had only gotten 8% of the snap share. Ogunbowale was getting 27% of the snap share.
You got it. Way to go.
I don't know if, again, like somebody has to run the ball. I don't know if it's going to be anything good. But if you are looking in that flex position and you're starting somebody where you're like, oh man, should I trust Ben Skowronek or should I trust Dari Ogunbowale? I don't think you can make a wrong choice, but I'm going to probably.
If that's where you're at in life, then I mean, everything's gone anyway. Your house is probably on fire. Family left you for dead. The dog ran away. I mean, if those are your final 2 choices, I mean, I really hope your cable doesn't get paid and you just miss the games altogether, because that's pretty bad.
Let's say you have a consolation bracket though, and your team isn't that good. Like, are you going to start Kenyon Drake, who's probably going to get 10% of the snap share because he's a very talented back when he touches the field? Or are you going to go for one of these other two guys who are clearly less talented, but they are actually seeing opportunity in these weeks? I think that's something you should keep in mind. I don't know what these two running backs are going to do. Somebody's got to run the rock. It's a good, I guess, flex play in desperation mode. So
Like it. Okay, so we're gonna close on this. I'm asking you. I'm gonna insert a question. Kenny Pickett is my quarterback because I traded away. I had Jimmy G. That's where I was.
woof.
Things were okay back then. I know. So I've got some options. I've got Taylor Heineke. I've got Sam Darnold. I've got Baker Mayfield. I've got Colt McCoy and Brock Purdy. I do need wins. I am in the consolation. I gotta make this happen.
Is this in our league?
This is in our league.
Oh, I didn't realize you had all of those guys. Oh my goodness.
No, I don't have all those guys. They're all on the waiver, and I'm just trying to decide.
No, I meant the other guys that you had. Do you have the matchups out? I mean, based on last week, I don't think you can trust Baker Mayfield because even though he had a heroic kind of.
What about Russ? It's against Arizona.
Is he gonna play though?
No, he's not. There's no way. Any human being would say no. So Washington is against the Giants in Washington. That's the Sunday nighter.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold's got Pittsburgh. That's not going to be fun. Baker's got Green Bay, so he's likely going to get killed.
Oh, good gosh.
And then Brock Purdy, obviously, in Seattle. I still like the idea of Brock in Seattle, but that's based on the show. I mean, if Brock's healthy, he might be the guy.
You might know who. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to say this live on air, but I was just pulling up the teams. I think if this is where you're at in your fantasy football endeavors and you're basically just like, I got to stream a guy because everybody sucks on my team.
Cam Newton's available.
Andy Dalton has the Falcons. We know he can pass. He can play in that offense. He's a good decision maker. I think you're looking at a ceiling of probably like, I don't know, 18 points for him.
And they're coming off the bye too, right?
Right. You mentioned Sam Darnold. Pittsburgh did not look good. They let a second string quarterback do some damage. They lost to a third string quarterback. So the Falcons the Panthers have kind of like this, you guys thought we were tanking mentality, and it kind of pissed us off, kind of chip on their shoulder. So maybe Sam Darnold. On the flip side, on the flip side of Andy Dalton, I was reading this today that Desmond Ridder is going to start for the Atlanta Falcons. And if you watched any of his tape in college, he's got that like extra factor thing that teams don't really know a lot about him because he hasn't played in the bigs. He's got an easy matchup in New Orleans. They are not that good against the quarterback. It's going to be in an indoor game because it's in New Orleans, so you don't have to worry about that. If you're not looking for like a maximum ceiling like in an Andy Dalton, I think you roll the dice on a Desmond Ridder. I can't believe I'm saying that. Wow.
You think even though they rely on the run?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to take some of the pressure off of him. Again, we don't know what he's going to look like in this system. This is a system that brought in Marcus Mariota, who was running, he wasn't doing anything spectacular on the football field. But again, if you want to talk about a person who can get points, it's why you went and got RG3 after his rookie season, because he can run you in touchdowns. He can run you yards. He can throw you in those check down things. I think if you're looking at, if that's what you have to play with, I go with a guy who has more tools that can get me a higher amount of points.
I still don't know. I'm still torn.
Oh my!
I might just do Dalton and call it a day. That's why I got a couple days. I got to wait till the waiver. I don't want to wait for a waiver wire. I'll just pick them up free agency.
Yeah.
No one else is looking for these guys.
No.
No one else is going through the dumpsters. Like, oh, half an eaten fish. Ooh, what kind of fish is that?
Those.
Smoked salmon? No, I don't think that's smoked salmon. Like, well, it was smoked at one point. Not anymore. Not anymore. Well, this has been a lot of fun. We learned some things about each other today.
Yeah.
I feel the two funniest guys on the show clearly stepped it up, whereas and best looking
and most handsome actually too. I mean, we're really the top two in all categories if we're being honest.
I mean, to be fair, I have to
huh?
show up because I have to click the start button. So I'm not sure what's going to happen next week. I'm going to Disneyland, so
Let's go.
I might have to do the show on my phone or something, or hand over the reins. I'm not sure what's going to happen. We're going to do our best to have a show. If not, we'll be back after Christmas. So you'll know. Maybe we'll do a best of. I'm just kidding. That's a lot of editing. So, whatever. Good luck this week. Good luck in the first week of playoffs. I can't believe we're finally here. What a year already. It's been a lot of fun. I'm just looking here. So again, sorry, you do not have the bye this week. You've got Kyle. That's going to be a juggernaut matchup. So I think I'd like to see one of you guys knock out Ted. That would be for the best for everyone. And I'm going to do my best.
He sits Patrick Mahomes again.
Yeah.
I'm going to dare him. I'm going to dare him on air. Oh yeah, Ted, I dare you to sit him again. You won't do it twice.
You mean the opportunity to have a trophy and $400? Yeah, I won't do that at all.
And then watch Mahomes puts up like an absolute bagel boy while like his replacement puts up just unheard of numbers.
That's the beauty of this stupid sport. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
On behalf of my good friend Steve, I am Ryan. This is That Helps No One FantasyCast on the Dean Blundell Network. Good luck in the playoffs. We're all going to need it. Make sure you got the beer in hand. Make sure that those chips are by your side.